Yes, I am excited to welcome the team at Intellosync AI.
I'm Aakash. I'm one of the co-founders of Intellosync, and I take care of the business side of the things. He's Ritesh. Ritesh has been working with me for almost 5-6 years now, and he has been a techie all his life.
So we believe those folks are the best hires, right? So in fact, one of the first joinees of our team, who was into tech, he suggested a guy, a friend of his, who was interested into AI.
Yes, I am excited to welcome the team at Intellosync AI. They are a legal tech startup. We funded this company in 2023 at the MVP stage, and we've seen the company grow leaps and bounds over the last year. What we wanted to do for this podcast was to focus on the learnings that the team has had since their first round of funding. I believe this will be very useful to our audience. But first of all, welcome to Ritesh and Aakash to this podcast.
Thank you, Dhruv. Thanks for having us. It's quite a nice setup, and we're actually happy to talk about our learnings and what went into our favor, what didn't go, how we learned from it, and we adapted towards as well.
Cool. So glad you guys are here. Why don't you introduce Intellosync for our audience?
So I'm Aakash. I'm one of the co-founders of Intellosync, and I take care of the business side of the things. He's Ritesh. Ritesh has been working with me for almost 5-6 years now, and he has been a techie all his life. Ritesh takes care of the product and the marketing side of the things at Intellosync. We have one more founder who sadly couldn't be here with us, but he heads the tech part and the AI part of Intellosync AI. So Intellosync AI is a AI powered platform which makes the lives of lawyers easier. So we are working with enterprise level clients like Aditya Birla, HCL, CSL, McDonald's as well, and few more to name. And so we make their actual legal teams operations and bring down the time and make it more efficient.
To just make it a bit more elaborate, what we do is a lawyer typically goes through hundreds of pages each day and maybe drafts say 10 to 20 odd pages each day, right? And these can be any sort of document.
How you are applying AI at a customer, or can you give us like a case study where AI is actually in use with a live customer today?
Correct. So we recently onboarded one of I will say the name. So we onboarded HCL, and as people know, it's a mammoth of tech companies in India and overseas as well. And the Infosys and HCL, these are companies which brought in the trust of like even developed countries in this for Indian software products. So when we approached HCL, there was a very major issue what they're facing. So they had 28 entities, and every single entity was drafting contracts left, right, and center. And even if they had a system, they had a document management system in place, the review part was being done manually. So say you send out a contract to say XYZ as a party, they will make their own changes and they will send it back to you. So HCL legal team had to review those contracts again and again, and there were multiple versions of the same document getting created, lying say in someone's laptop or in a hard copy, etc. So their major problem was that how do we reduce the time of actually reviewing? So we understood the problem, and this is where our AI came into play. So now we have various features like a playbook and say even a contract IQ assistant. So and you can imagine as a say a legal assistant at a lawyer's disposal. So how they would talk to one of the team members, telling them okay whether what is the risk for me in this contract, what changes have been made by the counterparty. So this is something which we developed, and it's being extensively used by HCL and few other clients.
So just to add on to that, typically what entails a typical day in a lawyer's day-to-day life, right? Very simple, they have to really say 100-200 pages per day, right? Which is a thing that they don't tend to like, right? So how we get in there is we make that stuff easy, right? You don't have to read 200 pages to go through the entire document. So you just want to know what is the stamp duty in this, or can I draft this contract in a better language? What are some sort of risks that might not be visible to a human eye, right? Or I have to maybe read this document thoroughly, right? So these kinds of insights getting out in the document was pretty challenging, and they had to basically read 200 odd pages each day, right? So we have eased that task. It's not like that they don't have to read anything, but we can point them out that these are some places that you can look at in the document, right? So basically, reviewing of an existing document that they receive, a contract that they receive, has been made much easier by our platform.
Understood. Understood. So if I were to summarize, is it fair to say that you are essentially making the lives of legal tech teams at your customers, much more simpler, right?
Yes,
your
and not only them, to add on to that, even the business users. So this is something which we learned on the go. So a lot of companies, so whenever say a sales team, so I'm a sales guy, so if say I want to draft a contract, I'm getting a new deal closed and I want to have a contract done. So I'll go to the legal team and tell them, okay, these are the commercials, these are my agreed upon conditions for the contract, so draft me a contract for that. And again, I have to follow because it's my job. I have a target on my head that, okay, I have to close this deal. So I'll have to follow the legal team, and the legal team will again be buried under like what Ritesh mentioned, hundreds of papers reviewing every day, and the deal will get delayed. So even not only this is the legal teams, even the business teams, they have the process streamlined. Say a vendor onboarding team when they're getting into a vendor management contract, so that also gets streamlined.
Understood. That is lovely. That's lovely. Okay, I believe the audience now has a fair sense of what Intellosync does. I want to focus on the main agenda of this podcast, right? So since you raised your first round via Malpani Ventures, I want to focus on some of the learnings, the growth that you've seen come into the company. Can we start very fundamentally as to how did you go about building the product, right? You can talk about how did you make your first hires, what did you do, right? What was the first thing you did from a product or a technical lens?
Okay. So raising funds helped us a lot, right? Because we were three founders, but there are only so much you can do without a team in place, right? So the first thing we did after we raised the funds is we built a solid team. Now, building a solid team doesn't just mean you have as many folks as you want to, right? For the tech to be top notch, we ensured that the hiring process is pretty stringent and pretty good, right? So we did a couple of things in the hiring process. One, we did a lot of interviews, right, with folks, not just one interview round and get the techie on board, not like that, right? Even though techies are much more in demand. So we had a philosophy that under hire, but don't hire folks who might not deliver, right? That worked for us wonderfully, right? We did around 4 to 5 interview rounds per technical hire. A second thing we did is we looked for references within our friend circles, right? So we believe those folks are the best hires, right? So in fact, one of the first joinees of our team who was into tech, he suggested a guy, a friend of his, who was interested into AI. We got him on board, and the third thing we did is we trained them. Hiring AI developers is not cheap, right? And you run out of cash if you start having folks who are experienced and have, let's say, 5-year experience in AI, right? So what we did is we basically gave them some time, handheld them, and encouraged them to learn a lot of the AI part, right? So this, in fact, also helped us entice greater talent who wanted to move from, say, back-end development or front-end development into AI, right? So they got onboarded pretty easily. Another thing that we did was we gave a lot of ESOPs in the company to the tech hires, right? Because nobody is going to join a startup. So our company has folks from tech folks, mostly from IITs and IITs, right? And we can't afford to pay them whatever salaries they can get in the market. So one thing we did, which worked well for us, we showed them the vision that this thing can grow big. You have to stick with us, and to compensate them, you have skin in the game here. So that helped us basically build a better team actually. And in terms of how we went about building the product, we had 4 to 5 clear stages which I can maybe define here. First, we did an MVP sort of with a few smaller clients, some friends of ours, some connections of ours, right? That led to the development of a basic MVP. The second stage came when we onboarded a big client. In this case, it was HCL, right? Now, when a behemoth like HCL comes onto board, it brings its own set of challenges, right? They asked us to build a lot of features and whatnot, right? Variety of use cases which were not present in the MVP. So we worked with them over a period of say 2 months, and then in the second phase, the product got full fledged ready, right? In the meanwhile, the AI buy was being worked upon, right? And then came the third stage. Once we have a major client, we pushed a lot of focus on the AI part, right? The AI was made more robust, more features into AI, and these sorts of aspects.
So the first thing with coming back to the question was that when we raised, so we knew that okay, we have to get a solid team in place. We need to work on the product, and we need to have some early adopters of the product. So say the people who use it, because again, a B2B SaaS product at heart is for the customer. They whatever they want, what they want the product to achieve, it should be doing that in the end. So we spoke with a lot of people while the team was getting built. So we knew product and team would have to be our first move, the first steps we take after fundraising. Once that was done, then we of course started, looking out for bigger clients, getting into connections and getting the clients out to then move towards the second phase of the product, which was after MVP.
That's great. That's really great advice actually. So what I hear you guys say is that you did not hire AI developers directly.
Yeah.
You rather hired freshers and then trained them up.
Absolutely.
B, you went after a large whale in
Yeah.
HCL, right? And iterated the product for them, built it, perfected from MVP to a product that can be used by an enterprise like HCL. And 3, then built on those capabilities, right? And then obviously HCL's name and all of the other products that you've built sort of enabled you to build the team.
Absolutely.
Right? That's great. That's great advice. So I think this is a good segue into how did you win your first large customer, right? I believe that was HCL. So, a lot of our audience will be keen to understand how did you manage to bring such a large customer on board?
So I'll be honest, it was not easy. And this is what I will even advise for a young startup or say young founders who are just starting up. So don't get tired in sales. If you're going ahead for a client which is as big as say McDonald's or HCL, so again, McDonald's are also one of our clients we recently onboarded. So if you're going after such big level clients, what the major problem, the first hurdle would be getting the foot in the door, sitting at the right table with the right people, because you are coming in without any references. So the first question any enterprise company would ask you would be, say, who else is using you? And before that, there was no one at that level which was using us. So you have to understand the problem first. Secondly, they have to have a trust in you. So what we did was we sat with their team, the legal team, the business team. We understood what exactly were the pain points they were facing. We developed those features around them. So we did not go around, with a full-fledged product to them and say that, okay, you have to buy it, which every other company was doing, which were our competitors. We said, okay, what's your problem? Let's solve that first. We'll give you features which are exactly solving those problems. And then once the legal team was convinced, the second hurdle which we faced was getting, getting verified or say getting accepted by the procurement team. So for say any listed company, so they have various checks. One of the main checks is that they don't onboard a company which is say less than 3 years of existence. And we were not even a 1-year-old company back then. So, but what worked well for us there was that the legal team and the business teams, once we have solved their problems, they had trust in us. So they were the ones which actually acted like our stakeholders and our, I would say influencers to the procurement team and saying that, okay, we want this product. And we also took a very interesting step there. So we gave them the product free of cost for 2 months. We'll not charge them at all.
Lovely.
We'll work on it. We'll solve their problems. And it was like we had everything on it was all in from our side. The product was there. They were using it. They could have said no at any point in time. So we knew that okay, we have to have some out of the box thinking to get a client of that level in the first year of operations. So these are the certain hurdles and how we solve them to get it.
Lovely. So you essentially went with a solution-based mindset rather than wanting to sell a product,
Exactly.
and you were willing to go to the extent of offering the entire platform for free, so that the customer could build confidence into using the platform. That's lovely. That's lovely, guys. So can we talk about how did you onboard more customers after that? How do you make this process more scalable, right? How did you onboard your next set of customers?
Right. So what we did once we had HCL and the operations were actually started for them. So we knew what problem statements an enterprise level client can face while managing documents, be it the business teams or the legal teams. What exactly would be their pain points. So this helped us to actually get few more enterprise level clients like say McDonald's, Toyota Financial Services, Ajanta Pharma, to name a few. So what we did was, again, we knew that we'll not be just focusing on one industry. Of course, FMCG and BFSI remains our focus, but we wanted to have an industry agnostic approach because the problem remains everywhere. Any company who's signing say more than 100 contracts in a month, the legal team would be so overwhelmed with work right now. So then we started approaching with their use case. We did a very in-depth case study with HCL. We showed, so our sales is not actually based upon pushing the product to the client. Our sales is more telling the client that, okay, this is the ROI what we have given to other clients. These are problems what we have solved and we want to test it all on you. We don't want to sell you a product. Use it. If you like it, if you see that the product is giving you an ROI, which, like currently the other products in the market are not doing it. So once they automatically, it can be the easiest yes what they say. This is what I always talk about.
Understood. Lovely. And can you talk a little bit about how you're going about your GTM? Do you guys do outbound? Do you guys do any marketing?
Yeah. So just to add to that, so initially the first year or so, we are solely focused on basically outbound sales. Now what that entails is cold calling is one aspect of that, like marketing is one aspect of that, running some few smaller ads is one aspect of that. And doing legal conferences is a major aspect which Aakash can illustrate upon, because most of these legal teams, how they typically works, they get together, the community is pretty small, right? If you sell a product to somebody, he can refer to somebody, right? So this is how we basically enhanced our fishing net, so to say. Basically, again, cold calling, marketing campaigns, and some conferences, right? So this helped us to generate a few good clients by the end of the year, so 18 odd months. Now is the time which we feel is the apt time to go into outbound sales as well. And we have some solid strategies around that. Few of those which include like setting up a cold email infrastructure, right? Which seems pretty simple, but again is slightly more technical than it seems on the surface of it. We can do SEO. So SEO is a major aspect which we are targeting as of now in the next 3 to 6 months, right? If you look at any B2C companies in India, SEO is one of the major channels of sales, right? Other than Instagram and all those kinds of things, right? But in the B2B space, what we feel that a lot of founders tend to neglect the impact of SEO, right? So that is one aspect which we are pretty bullish on, right? So these are some aspects which we feel can help us garner more outbound sales.
So just to summarize it, so firstly, in the first year of operations, we were focusing more on outbound sales, and because Ritesh and myself, we come from the same industry, so we have been in the legal tech industry for quite a few years now. So we knew people, we knew what the problems they were facing, so we approached them with the solution. So it was majorly outbound. But now, since we started getting good amount of traction from known names, big enterprises, so now we can actually utilize that and get into the inbound part. So that's why we want to set the infrastructure first, get some good industry agnostic names in, and then start moving towards inbound.
Understood. So one of the things that I've always liked about you guys is that you want to build everything entirely on your own. I want to talk about, maybe this is a good point to talk about why you intend to sort of build everything on your own. This is a very Zoho-like sort of approach, right? And how that helps you sort of give a very differentiated solution to your customers, right? Like, so what is it that is making Intellosync stand apart from its competitors?
So, firstly, why the approach that we want to do everything on our own? So it comes from a very frugal mindset. Again, this is what Malpani Ventures also has a very keen focus on building frugally.
Right.
So it's always easier to just outsource something or say buy a product and start working on it.
Right.
But what people fail to understand sometimes, and I might be wrong here as well, of course, because if it's not that it's not working, it's working for some people, it might not be working for us.
Sure.
So what happens here is that we can develop things from scratch because first thing, we have a very solid tech team, like Ritesh mentioned. We have the resources and the team is so close knitted that they understand the vision. They know that why these people are doing it. And again, coming back to the main question that why we want to do it, because post that we can make the tweaks as per us.
Right.
So say cold emails will work well in B2C, like Ritesh was mentioning, and say SEO would work better in B2C. But we have seen instances when we have tested it properly that where SEO is also getting us leads inbound leads now. So, and if we would have taken a product which is more focused, say hire content writers, or say get a channel setup for outbound emails from someone else, then what happens is they will come with their own baggage. They will come with their own mindset that, okay, say I did this for this client, it should work for them. And this is where the time and money will go for us.
Right.
So that's why we wanted that we'll do it. We'll take some time, but at least we'll not waste money and time on again and again testing it.
Right.
We know our target audience, we know how to approach them, so we'll build our thing on our own.
Right. That's great. That's great, guys. And can you tell me, how do you differentiate yourself from other competitors?
So yeah, talking about competition, there's a nice line from Michael Sieber, one of the founders of Y Combinator and Twitch. He says that most early stage startups die by suicide rather than by murder, right? So what he means to say by this, for the first 2 years, you don't need to focus on the competition because you're nowhere close to them, right? For the first 2 years, you maybe need to focus on building the best products and you need to focus on the client. What are their use cases, right? So as of now, we don't have, this doesn't mean that we don't be totally aloof of what the competition is doing, right? You have to know what they're building. Are there any features that they have better than you, right? But it's not vis-a-vis getting in a fist fight with them or a firefight with them, spending more money than them, right? So what we believe, for the first 2 years, early stage founders specifically should focus on themselves, try to build the best product and basically solve use cases that the clients are facing, right? So this would be much more healthier in the short run. And again, in the longer run, you have to compete.
So again, because in the first 3 years of operation, you have limited resources, you have limited amount of time, limited amount of money, and you want to get the product out there in the market and get some early adopters and early users on the product. So focusing a lot on the competition will actually divert you from your own path. You have to create your own path first, walk on it, and then figure out the competition. And that doesn't mean that competition will not try to hurt you. But again, you have to stay focused.
One good way to maybe compete would be, I would say, go to G2 and Captiva, which we actually pretty much do all the time. A lot of the competitors' reviews are there, right? See what pain points they are not able to solve. So we tend to periodically go through all our competitors, pick up what their customers are cribbing about, and try to incorporate those features in us. And this is a good solid strategy that we've used, that, okay, these are the 10 features that are not in the platform. We have it for you.
Understood. So again, so what I hear you say is that focus on your own solution and try to focus on customer problems rather than competitor features, right? And eventually you will grow to a scale where obviously you will pay more attention to customers, but it doesn't matter in the first 2-3 months, the first 2-3 years, right? Cool. So enough of the good stuff now. What our audience also wants to hear is, what were the mistakes that you guys made, right? Or what were the challenges that you faced, right? Or what would you have done differently, right? We have enough podcasts talking about the hunky-dory and the good part, the good stuff in startups, right? But yes, we would like to understand, what would you like to change post your funding?
So basically, a lot of founders, when they start up a startup, it's a baby for them, right? So they try to go all in from the very first day. The expectations are very high, and you yourself pressurize yourself so much. You'd be actually expecting a lot from you without even, because you're high on energy or high on expectations from your own self. You have taken a huge risk. So this is something which I would say we have to calm down first. This is what we did wrong on our part too. We expected that say a B2B SaaS enterprise level client will get closed in 1.5 months. This was our expectation, that okay, we'll just crush everything, we'll just go out in the market and be the best product out there. Right. So even if we have the best product, the enterprise bureaucracy doesn't change. Those companies will work as per their own processes. So what you have to figure out here. So this is what we did wrong in our expectations. We thought 1.5 months we'll have our first client and we'll keep on just piling on the numbers and start getting in more and more clients. So what we learned was, no matter what you do, they will work as per them. So this was one of our major mistakes what we did. And post that, how we actually found a solution to it was to have a very healthy pipeline. So say when we knew that okay, the first client is taking us around 3 to 4 months to getting converted, or say even giving us a verbal yes, deployment will take another month or two. So the money will start coming in after 6 months. So now we had to shift our strategy in a way that okay, we have to have a very healthy pipeline so that after 6 months, I don't have to wait another 6 months to get another client. So this is something which we did wrong, and we also corrected that. Did you want to add something?
Yeah, I want to add some tech side of things. So actually, even in demos, in sales, if you have built a solid product and you have some fancy features in the product, in the sales pitch you tend to show those, right? Even though the client might not be interested in those, right? You want to show your twice. This is something you have built. This is basic stuff. What you're asking, but we have something better. But he might not be needing that better part, right? So that is one mistake we did, and it took us around 6 to 8 months to understand that the client is not interested in what we're showing. He's interested in getting his work done, right? So that is one aspect. Inside of tech, we also did a few errors. At times you tend to build in isolation without knowing if this feature is pretty relevant or not, right? So that is one aspect which we stopped completely doing, right? Don't build in isolation. Even if you feel that the feature is good, go to a prospective client or go to an existing client and take his feedback on it and then build that solution. One more thing we tended to do is basically do a lot of customizations. Now this is a very thin line to walk on. What customizations you say no to and what customizations you say yes to, right? So these were some challenges from a tech aspect. Say we get a demo account, he asks for a trial account, and he says, the client says to us that give us these 10 customizations, then only we would consider those solution, right? So that is one aspect. We just started blindly making those features, right? Which is not a good way to go about. How we course corrected was, okay, he has given us this 10 odd suggestions, 10 odd features to build. Can we show him an alternative or better approach to do 5 of those things, right? So that is one aspect. Second, what we tend to do is, okay, these 5 as features are not in the platform. We have to build for this client. Can we build it in such a manner that this product, this enhances the product rather than just serving a single point use case, right? So these are some aspects of tech which we found out in the first few months.
Yeah, so Ritesh mentioned a very important point, customization. So it's a double-edged sword. It's a necessary evil. So say if it might get you the deal, it might, and you might lose it as well. So say if you commit too much and you start working on customizations, you'll lose your path. You'll actually get diverted from your roadmap, your timelines, etc. But say if you deny the client outrightly, they will go ahead and go to the competition and get that build anyway. Because if the client is clear that okay, this is solving my problem, so you have to find out a very you have to walk on a thin line and find out a way that whether these customization should be integrated into a product or not. Is this making a product better, or is it actually solving a problem? Because from A to B there might be multiple ways. So client wants to go from A to B. Either he will suggest, okay, I want to get customized as per me. But what we as a company, as a startup can also do is just tell them, okay, this is another way out, which will save our time, which will save our money, and get the job done for them. So again, it's a double-edged sword, like you mentioned. It might cut to the deal, or you might lose it.
Yeah, I like the line. Customization is a necessary evil. I'm going to use it.
3 months, we will double down on those, and of course, we'll have a entire sales engine just working and focused on those and getting us the revenue from there. That's something which we want to achieve.
Understood. That seems like legal utopia, right? That's great, guys. Cool. Now I want to move on to a round which is much more fun and much more lively. So I'm just going to be asking you some questions, and I want some rapid fire answers. Right?
Sure.
Okay. So over the next 12 months, what is your North Star metric?
So it's not for 12 months. I would say that has been with us since the very beginning, and we have talked a lot about it too. That's customer experience and solving their problems. So we are entirely focused on that, and this has worked wonders for us in the past. Got us, made us work with the best companies in the industries, the leaders in their industries, getting recognition on the product, getting good feedback on the product, which we have started noting down on G2 and Capterra as well now. And so this is what we have been following. So of course it will boil down to revenue. That is the end goal of how running a business. You have to get the revenue out. But to achieve that, if you focus on the client's problems and their experience, automatically everything starts working around that. This is what we believe in actually.
Understood. I love that answer. You're focusing more on customer experience, and that invariably will lead to more revenue. Lovely. Cool. Now, this is a question I want both of you to answer. Who is one founder or innovator that you would like to have dinner with, and why?
Okay, so I would say Elon Musk. So why would be a very tough situation he was in. So back in 2008, so he had two babies. The way he actually described that experience, he had two babies, Tesla. We of course have them, Tesla and SpaceX. Of course, like, I'll not go to the literal meaning of the babies there. So Tesla and they were both struggling, and he had a choice that he had limited funds, and what he could do was invest the entire amount in one company, which will which will actually increase the probability of its survival, but essentially the other company will die. So he took a very tough bet. He divided the capital into half, exactly half invested in both the companies. That's like he's dropping down the probability of each survival. And so I want to understand when he was taking this decision. Of course, it would be a very tough one for him. At the dinner table, I want to understand him. Of course, if he wants to have a few drinks too, and then talk about it more openly. That why, it was such a tough decision. That how he could do that, how he analyzed it, and essentially we all know the result. Both of them have come out as the amazing companies in terms of innovation and even say in marketing, and how we actually they were the first movers in their entire industry. So just want to understand how tough it was, what made him take that risk, and did he actually calculate that if both of them fail, what will happen?
Understood. Lovely, lovely. Elon Musk saving humanity both literally and metaphorically. Cool. Yes, Ritesh.
Yeah, for me, it's a pretty cliched answer that most founders give. It's going to be Steve Jobs. What I loved about him is how he basically amalgamated both technology and marketing. Right now, it seems pretty simple, but not many folks throughout history have been able to do that. Right, and not just that, he basically got a perfect mix of technology and marketing. He also ensured that all the users of his product basically not just tend to use the product, they tend to love the product and sort of have a cultish behavior around iPhones or or Apple ecosystem, right? So that was something he has done pretty amazing, and Apple's growth as one of the largest companies in the world speaks to that. So I would love to pick his brains.
Again, controlling what the customer wants as well. It's a very tough thing. He knew what the customer wants, and how to actually get it packed within a good design. So be it is designing, be it his marketing techniques, making the product look like the best product out in the market, even if it wasn't. So that was something. So it was a very nice answer.
Yeah. So typically Steve Jobs as a funny way to just for a fun fact, we tend to say that we obsess with what the customer needs. Steve Jobs used to say that customer doesn't know what he needs, I tell him what he needs, right? So that was a pretty interesting way to look at things.
Great. Very good answers. One more tricky question. What is one piece of conventional wisdom, say about legal tech or about AI, that you strongly disagree with?
Yeah. So I will go with that. I'll in fact give you two. One, I totally disagree with that AI will replace lawyers. I don't think that is going to happen. I believe that lawyers who don't use AI, they might get replaced by other lawyers who use AI. So that is one. A second conventional wisdom that keeps floating around is this company is a chat GPT wrapper, building on top of chat GPT. This company is a chat GPT wrapper, right? But I don't think this is correct, right? Now you should build a foundational model, right? These are some basically ideas that are going around in the VC ecosystem, right? But as you can see now, the tables have started turning actually. The GPT wrappers are doing quite well. Take up Harvey or a lot of other companies, right? They're doing millions of dollars of revenue. And in fact, the foundational models are now they're struggling because of intense competition. Right? You have ChatGPT, you have Google's Gemini, you have Claude, you have Mistral, right? N number of foundational models. Everybody's burning cash like hell and seeing who comes out on top and is the last man standing. So this whole notion that ChatGPT wrappers are sort of a low tier thing to do is something I don't agree with.
And again, of course, because these models actually give you they bring yourself, they bring you to a certain platform from which you can grow upon. So, for example, say you can tweak them, you can get the kind of results you actually want from your platform. Say for us, it will be the accuracy of extraction of clauses. It can be the accuracy of finding out the risk in the contract, which we, of course, we keep on checking the accuracy. We have an entire agnostic framework as well, very exhaustive on how we check the accuracy. So, of course, it's a very Ritesh mentioned it very beautifully that building from foundational models would actually take a lot of time, and it's not that the other companies are not doing it.
What drives you as founders?
Like, so what drives us as founders is basically, so we've been in the legal tech industry for quite a long time, and I'll talk about myself, what drives me, and then of course
Sure.
for Ritesh as well. So what drives me is when I, after deploying the solution, I go to a client and they say, okay, this has actually helped me, and I know it might look like a very normal statement, but for a salesperson who has been in sales all through his life and who's now building a company, and the customer telling him that, okay, this product has actually helped me, and this is the kind of time that I save, this is the kind of like feedback I've received from business teams as well. So that really drives me. A positive feedback from a client who's using the product, which is like makes my day, to be honest.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Ritesh?
For me, would be like the intricacies of building a startup, right? You go to the grind. You instead of working 7 hours at a job, you're working 14 hours, right? And at the end result, something or some beautiful product comes out, which people like Aakash are able to sell in the market, and it makes somebody work easier. So that is quite a good driving factor for me.
Understood. Okay, I'm going to wrap this podcast up. You have to just finish this line for me. I'll know Intellosync has succeeded when dash.
I would say when a lawyer comes to me for signing his own contract and tells me I've already done it with Intellosync. Have you guys heard about them?
Perfect.
That's where I'll be the most happiest person.
Perfect.
For me, it would be when somebody says, or realizes, how did you used to do it before? I can't recall. Just like.
Understood. All right, that's a wrap. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I
Thank
think-
you, Dhruv.
you.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
having us. It was actually lovely talking to you.
Yes. I totally believe this is a very insightful conversation and very inspiring one as well, right? I think what we are witnessing is a very novel, state-of-the-art, AI-first legal tech company being built very frugally in India. And then kudos to the three of you in building this. We are very excited on what Intellosync brings to the legal world.
But thanks for backing us as well. And it has actually helped us because you've been working with B2B SaaS companies in your portfolio, and learning from their mistakes has actually saved us a lot of time, honestly. So thank you again as well.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you to the audience for tuning in. Thank you.